The following reaction video editorial is being conducted because there was an interview taken with heavyweight contender Otto Wallin, and the interview can be heard in its entirety courtesy Boxing News. The link will be in the description. But this particular interview, because we do not get to hear very much from Otto Wallin, I thought that I would give reaction to what he's offering as the questions are being conducted to Otto. So with that being said, this is a bit of a different type of editorial from Stormy B-Man, but at the same time, I'm looking at the scope of boxing and how it's being viewed through the critical eye of its participants. So let's begin.
This is Andy Purwall for Boxing News. I'm joined by Swedish heavyweight contender Otto Wallin over Zoom. Otto, always a pleasure. How are you on this weekend?
I'm good, thanks. Just waking up and just have breakfast. Gonna go for some sparring in Brooklyn soon, so I think that would be good.
I'm glad to hear. Obviously, you've got a busy weekend ahead of you, and yeah, you've just woken up. And as always, the boxing world likes to throw us into kind of some form of turmoil. Obviously, we had the highs of Spence Crawford last weekend and what that meant for the sport, and obviously we've just had the lows of the breaking news that Dillian Whyte has had a positive test come back. I want you to get your immediate reaction to hearing that news.
Now, before we continue with this, let it be understood that Dillian Whyte was originally scheduled to take on Otto Wallin 2 years ago in December, and he opted out of that fight because he had an opportunity on the cusp of a title challenge against Tyson Fury. So he feigned an injury just mere weeks before the fight was to begin or take place between he and Whyte. Wallin was left without an opportunity to show his wares. People may remember him for his challenge against Tyson Fury shortly after Fury had fought Deontay Wilder the first time around. One thing that can be said about fighters like Otto Wallin is they typically fly under the radar until someone gives them an opportunity, and then they turn out to be more than what you bargained for. And no one, including Dillian Whyte, has considered stepping in the ring and jeopardizing their position in the top portion of the heavyweight division. But yet and still, he chugs along. So as he's being asked about Dillian Whyte popping dirty for his upcoming, now canceled, scheduled fight against Anthony Joshua, let's listen to his thoughts about Dillian Whyte.
Yeah, my immediate reaction is that obviously I woke up, didn't know about it, and heard about it now, and there's not too much information yet, so it's a bit too early to just jump to conclusions. But at the same time, this is the third time this has happened for him, so he's very suspicious. And I think there's a reason why it's happened for him 3 times, and you take a fighter like me, it's never happened, and that's because I don't take anything that's shady. I don't take any steroids, anything. So I'm very aware of what I'm taking, so that's not gonna happen for me. So it's all very suspicious. Like, I feel like, there's no smoke without fire. So 3 times it's not looking good for him.
You've just said, this is the third time that he's had a positive finding come back. What goes through kind of your mind knowing that that this isn't just kind of the first?
Yeah, I mean, it's annoying. It's very annoying. I feel like, okay, maybe somebody does a mistake, get caught once. He's done it twice. He's been caught twice already before this. He fought that fight against Rivas after he got busted, and they let him fight anyways. I think that was terrible. And at least now they canceled the fight. But just imagine if he's been caught for steroids 3 times, how many times has he not been caught?
You know, that is something that I have put out there. You have to think about all the times he's been given the green light. Even against Tyson Fury, who is a known cheater and admitted cheater himself. You have to wonder if White was clean when he fought Tyson Fury. Excuse me. But the thing about that is Tyson Fury is dirty as Dillian White. So the two would cancel one another out. But what Wallin is suggesting is where there's smoke, there's fire. And there has been plenty of smoke around Dillian White, enough to call to order that something needs to be done, not only to him, but fighters like he that participate in this sport, where you have so many fighters who want to do things the proper way, and you have those who really can't compete, and they look for alternative means to be able to stay afloat in the sport of boxing.
You know, it's not good, and it's a dangerous sport, and we don't need that.
Otto, as somebody who was previously lined up and scheduled to face Dillian until he pulled out of that fight, do you kind of look back to it back then, and do you have any kind of thoughts that make you wonder about how the fight may have played out, and yeah, if you'd have shared the ring back when you were scheduled to and signed up to?
Well, I mean, the tricky part is for a guy like me, I want the big fight, and to get big fights, you need to beat highly rated guys, and he was one of them. And I knew about his failed drug tests, of course, but there's only so much you can do at it for it. Like, I have to fight somebody to get up there, and even if he's failed drug tests, you know, it's just the reality of boxing. It's very sad that some people take steroids and drugs and get on unfair edge. I still think that would have beat him, because I mean, I don't think that he's gonna change just because he's doing steroids now. I think he's been doing it before. But you give me a second, Andy?
Yeah.
You see, what Wallin is saying is true, which means that the guys who are trying to compete and make their way during the sport, sometimes they're even forced to fight these guys who cheat and everything if they want the opportunity to move forward progressively in their careers. But when you have someone like Dillian White that's failing and doing other unsavory acts, it stalls out the sport. Look at Wallin and how by not getting the fight with White, he didn't get the commercial appeal that would come with a higher profile fight, higher than what he has been fighting in the interim. But because White is a bigger name than his, he looked forward to that opportunity because that would propel him forward to gain other considerations in the future. And that's where a fighter like White, who cheats, he gets a title shot against Tyson Fury undeservedly, and he performed like a man that didn't deserve to be in the ring with a heavyweight champion. But still, a fighter like Wallin will continue to press forward because he understands that he has to earn his living.
Yeah, Otto, we'll just pick that back up there. We had a brief interference or brief issue that you just kind of had to go and tend to. But yeah, just talking about when you and Dillian were previously scheduled to face each other.
Yeah, it's just it's difficult for you have a guy like me coming up and want to fight the big fights, and to do that you got to go through guys that are highly ranked, and he was one of them. Of course, I knew about his failed drug tests before, but I kind of still need to take fights like that because that's the way you get to the top. It's just that's how boxing is, unfortunately. And it's sad. It's sad for boxing. I think there's no place for drugs in this sport, especially when it's so dangerous. So yeah, it's very disappointing.
Otto, there's still question marks as to whether or not the show will go ahead next weekend. Well, from what I've seen on social media, Eddie's looking for a replacement opponent for Anthony Joshua. I know it's a week out, it's a massive fight, but if the call came, would you accept?
Now, that's an interesting question because remember, I said he's trying to make his way in the division. And even on short notice, would he be willing to take a fight with AJ if they decided to pull his card? Let's listen to what he has to say.
I think I would, but they would have to pay me. I mean, I'm in good shape. I feel like I'm hoping to have a fight soon. So I'm in training. Like I said, I'm got sparring lined up for today. But I think it would be good. I think it's a great show actually, and it's a lot of good fights. And nice to see all those heavyweights out there. And I would love to be a part of it. Yeah. So I mean, I'm in good shape already. So I'll be ready for it.
You mentioned obviously you was in training for a fight on the horizon. Can you fill us in as to what you have lined up?
Yeah, I don't have anything lined up yet, but I've been in discussions for a fight in September, and I think that would be a great opportunity for me, and it will leave me in a good place after. So I'm really hoping that's going to come true.
Is the hope, I imagine, obviously you get this big fight out of the way and more doors will open up for you, and you've spoken with people about kind of what other opportunities could be beyond your September outing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been having a lot of good talks, and nothing set yet, of course, but I'm hoping to have it all sorted out very soon.
See, the whole point of Wallin saying that he's hoping for something, he can't talk too fast because he doesn't want them to skip over him for the opportunity. But he has to give the appearance that he's eager. He would like to be compensated economically, of course, but also he might not necessarily be at his best right now. It's like laying a trap. In the event that they decide to pull his card, he'll take that opportunity readily, of course. But the thing about it is, Joshua has been down that path before where they selected someone that they didn't respect and he ended up losing the fight in a replacement at the last moment against Andy Ruiz Jr. So they have tape of Wallin's performance against Tyson Fury, and they know that that wouldn't be a cakewalk. So he may not necessarily get that last minute call, even though it's just days before the fight. But yet and still, Wallin will be patient and wait for his opportunity.
I want to get your thoughts on a few other fights, one that's just happened and a couple which are on the horizon. Just keeping with a fellow Southpaw fighter, I want to get your thoughts on Terence Crawford's unbelievable performance last weekend against Errol Spence.
It was really unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I mean, he just went through him. And I've always seen that fight as a 50-50 fight. And I really rate Spence and Crawford. And, I always felt like Spence was a little bit better. So I was very surprised when that happened. And, I just have to wonder how much that car accident took out of Spence, because it didn't seem right. I mean, Crawford is an amazing fighter, but something just felt off with Spence. He couldn't take the shots, and, he was lethargic and things. So all credit to Crawford, of course, but it was you just wonder a little bit.
And just going back up to heavyweights, but sticking with Southpaw talk, Young Joyce 2 on the horizon. Do you expect anything different in their rematch?
I don't know. It's a good question. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But there's a reason why Joyce got injured last time, because Shang, couldn't really miss him. And I think that Shang, his confidence probably grew a lot. It's a huge win for him. And you have a guy like Joyce, his defense is really his offense. So maybe he's lost a little bit of that confidence now, and and that feeling of being invincible, maybe. That's my guess. So we see what happens in that fight. But I think, I mean, I gotta give the edge to Zhang to win again.
And I would agree with that. The fact that Zhang found Joyce so easy to hit, Joyce could not get his head off her center line and was taking those big, powerful shots from Zhang. Though Zhang is not a one-punch knockout fighter, he is a fighter that with accumulative blows, he can get you up out of there. And since Joyce's eye didn't hold up, he was taken out of there by 6 rounds. So it will be interesting to see the adjustments that Joe Joyce makes in a rematch, but you can pretty much feel that it's going to go the same way, because at the age of 37, 38, Joyce is not likely going to change his style very much. And Zhang, as Otto Wallin admitted, his confidence has grown to the degree that he will probably look to get out the gate even faster against Joyce in the rematch.
And the final one, to get your thoughts on your former opponent, Tyson Fury, will be facing MMA star Francis Ngannou in October. It's not the fight which kind of a boxing world was happy about, but it's the one we're getting. It will be a massive event regardless, but just your thoughts on Fury and Ngannou.
I think that, Fury, he's making a lot of money for a somewhat easy fight, I think. Ngannou has never been in a boxing match before, and this is 12 rounds, which is completely different to an MMA fight. So, it's going to be an easy win for Fury, I believe. And I kind of understand why he does it, because he will make a lot of money from an easy fight, but it's disappointing for us other guys. We want him to fight boxers and to defend his belt.
That was going to be the last one. One more. Obviously, Daniel Dubois and Alexander Usyk facing each other later this month. A lot of people kind of writing Daniel off before the fights even come around. Do you give him much of a chance?
I think he's always going to have a chance because he's a big puncher and he's a strong guy. And Usyk, he looked great with Joshua, but he didn't look that good with Chisora and Witherspoon, actually. So we see it's all about styles, but of course Usyk is going to be a big favorite. But I don't think you can count anyone out, especially if they're a big puncher like Dubois.
And so there you have it, from the mouth of heavyweight contender Otto Wallin, what he thinks of the fights that are on the horizon and where he places himself in the midst of these things that are happening. He is looking for a big fight, and I think that he deserves one. On his fight against Fury alone, he showed something that a lot of heavyweights haven't shown. Dubois is getting a shot at Usyk, but I favor Usyk in that fight as a champion who is more than capable of boxing and understanding what it's like to be in there with an aggressive, big punching heavyweight. He's been down that block before. Dubois has never been in the ring with someone who can box like Alexander Usyk. And he is a southpaw. So think about it. Now, as far as Tyson Fury and Ngannou, that's a fight. That's an event more than a fight. And once again, Tyson Fury is not taking on a quality heavyweight contender. He's fighting a fighter for a bag. And at the end of the day, you have to call it like it is. And I don't believe the boxing public is prepared to continue to put up with Tyson Fury. But what are your thoughts? This is Stormy B. Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know, what do you think about Otto Wallin's assessments of the current landscape of what's happening in the heavyweight division, and whether or not you would like to see him throw his hat in the arena and have an opportunity merely based on his performance against Tyson Fury just a few years ago. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.